Hello and welcome back, everybody. I'm hoping you're having a wonderful time wherever it is you happen to be. So, if you can't tell already, if you watched the last video, I'm not in the same location that I was before. I learned a few things, and I ended up recording a bunch of it, and then I just decided that mission was unsuccessful, and we packed it all up, and have decided to try again somewhere else, based on what we learned in that first mission. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself. That's the narrative that I'm going with for this little encampment or colony that I'm building. And as I left it the last time, we didn't really have a whole lot built. I believe I was still struggling to build even just my little water generator here. But here we have a nice little foundation. I've got some water infrastructure going and some storage that's slowly filling up. I have my storage set up over here, my fuel depot over here. I've got some power generators and storage units for that, and all is looking good. I got some concrete coming out of the ground over here, and I've got this little guy right here, my RC transport. He gathered me up a pretty good amount of metal to get started. So the idea being is that right over here there are two deposits of what I believe are rare minerals. Rare minerals, yep. So I am going to build my first dome away from home somewhere over in this region, as close to those as I can get. So I've set up my basics over here, and right now I am going to try running some pipe and power lines, over in that general direction. Well, I guess we'll start with power cables. So that starts there. Probably going to hit some uneven terrain. Yep. Stop there. I think it only lets you go so far, too. It doesn't really let you, yeah, that's uneven terrain. Not going to let me build over that. So I got to go there. That should be fine. Oh, too far for drones. Okay, well, that's fine for right now. We'll work on that. And, yeah. I think one of these rockets is probably ready to go home. Nope, not yet. They've been sitting there a little while, but yeah, it's kind of funny. You put one fuel depot and it kind of takes a while to fill up a couple of rockets, but if you put two, they end up with so much fuel that they end up stacking it, and every single supply depot you build will have like a pile of fuel cans. So it's pretty funny. I don't know if that's a little out of balance or I'm not using it correctly, but either way. Yeah. So it's a little slow going at the moment. Oh, did you see that over there? Oh, there's two of them in the same place. They say lightning doesn't strike in the same place, but on Mars, meteors hit in the same place. I actually had one already strike me just before I started the video. It hit right there. Took out a bunch of my power line. Fixed it fast enough, though. There's some things I learned when I first round through this, and it's much better to keep your base in kind of a compact area when you're first starting out, because trying to stretch your drones out when everything's all spread out, if you're like water sources like way over here and you're trying to build it, becomes really difficult. It's really good to just find a water source and start building around that, because water, at least at this point, is one of the things that I can't just well, I guess I could put the evaporators down and they will produce water out of, literally thin air. There's actually a bit of a pun or a joke or something in there, because the air on Mars is thin, and it makes water out of it, so water out of thin air. Haha, get it? I'm enjoying some beverages this afternoon. Hope you are too. Oh, well, that was close. I picked this spot on my own, and every other stat looked pretty good, except the meteor shower amount was kind of high, so I feel like I would take the risk, because everything else was in high supply, as well as meteors. So I get a pretty good supply of them as well. Unfortunately, I don't want them. I remember some of my earlier attempts at trying to start this game resulted in a whole lot of deaths because a meteor hit in just the right spot, and it blew out a drone control unit or something, and then all my drones died, and then nobody was moving resources. And I've learned since then that, you know, there's some tricks to it. There's probably a tutorial mode that I could play through that would have explained some of this a bit more, you know, in depth, so that I didn't spend so much time just, cool. Nothing in it, but thanks. Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff that I just didn't really know about. So, you know, trying to get cargo, for instance, and all these supplies that they've stacked up here that it came in on these ships and that they've gathered, trying to get it to like somewhere else was like a huge pain in the ass. But what you got to do is you take your little drone control towers here and you overlap them. So the drones that, because these will only control so many drones, you're going to have dozens of them running around before too long. So say I build another tower like right here, which will overlap with this one's field and control more drones over here. If you overlap it with this cargo area, they will both use the same one, and the guys from over here, say I build another cargo depot over here, will go here and take this and move equal amounts of it. They'll kind of try and distribute it out. It took me a while to kind of figure that out, that they will automatically distribute everything equally, or like semi-equally. I don't know, I haven't really looked at it that closely, but they will transport some of it to other areas. So if you're coming in over here, if you're supplying, you know, rockets coming in with a bunch of stuff on them, and they all pile it here, if you overlap everything, everybody else will take it and evenly distribute it around. Doesn't matter if my whole base takes up this whole rim eventually. They'll move it along. But if you only have, like, say, 32 new units or something like that, and it's all concentrated here, it's going to progressively, like, you might start trying to build something out here, and it takes forever because they'll never move, like, the 20-some-odd units all the way over to there. By the time you get all the way over there, it's like, you know, you'll have 2 in your storage. So you kind of have to keep a big surplus at the front. But, yeah, it's interesting, and I'm slowly starting to get it. I have played this for a little while in like my own game that I haven't recorded, and I've learned a few things about keeping people alive. I do have it still on a pretty, basically it's very easy, which to me is, it's not really like cheating or anything, it's just more fun that way. I don't like a bunch of my colonists dying for no reason after I spent 3 hours preparing for their arrival. I just want to have a good time. So anyway, with that being said, let's see what we got here. Okay, so everybody's sped up a little bit. It looks like everything's pretty well built. Up here are all of my... I have plenty of stuff to build things with, so I think I may be able to place a dome down. Yeah, let's go with... I want to try and put it over here. It's going to tell me it's out of range of the drones, but I'll fix that. Actually, hold on. I gotta make sure I actually have... I do not have another drone hub, and I haven't developed the technology to build them yet. Boy, there are a lot of meteors that come down around here. They were not lying. Can one of these take off yet? He's almost full. He is full. Okay, so he can leave. Rocket short circuit. The whole board flares up in red warning signs. Emergency rocket launch abort initiated. Well, blast. Quick troubleshooting reveals that a short circuit has completely fried the board computer, leaving the rocket in a damaged state. You quickly notify the sponsor of the potentially disastrous consequences of the failed rocket launch. Luckily, they lose no time in greenlighting 5 free supply pods and $500 million in funding to help the mission through this situation. Well, that's cool and not cool all at the same time. So I'm pretty sure I was just saying I was going to I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but the way I get more buildings for right now that I can't build myself is I have to do this. So drone hub, this is what controls the drones. So I'll take like 2 of those. It's full and it doesn't cost me anything to launch it. So let's do another one. And in that one we can put... How much the drone hubs weigh? Okay, I can only fit 2 drone hubs in a... That works for me. And then let's launch. Let's do one more. With possibly 2 of these, the moisture evaporators, and... Oh, that's full. So Yeah, the pods can't carry much, but they travel way faster. You can get them in like half the time or something. I don't know. I haven't really checked, but they move way quicker through space. So you can see all three of them. I've got this sped up pretty fast, so they're moving along pretty quick. They're already, first one I launched is already almost 30% of the way here now. So, not the most realistic. It's still a fun game. I know I nitpick little things like that sometimes. I don't care if it's necessarily realistic. But unless they're moving at like, you know, twice the speed of light, there's no way they... I don't even know, actually, because it takes like 8 minutes for light to get to Mars, I believe. So the fact that he just traveled 70% of that distance in that amount of time. Even at regular speed, like, they're not exactly... Well, they're much slower, but they're still moving... Like, you could send a pod to Mars in like 10 minutes. I mean, my god, how fast is that? Well, I mean, yeah, so if it's 8 minutes... Oh, I'm rambling. If it's 8 minutes for the speed of light, then 10 minutes would be, yeah, it would be sublight. It'd still be friggin' moving like a bat out of hell. But, you know, like 75% of the speed of light or something.